This is the Elsa Show.
Well, hey there. It's another week, another bunch of topics. I'm so relieved to not be doing it solo.
I apologize for last week, folks. I probably shouldn't because it was Mother Nature's doing, but last week the storms rolled through here and I was without power for
long time.
Our normal recording day. I went to see my son at college and then Thursday we were supposed to record and that storm rolled through and I was without power for about 18 hours. I was running on generators to keep the refrigerators good. But I apologize, but
no, I know. I went into panic mode.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I don't what? What? I couldn't even like not call it out. I was like, so like, okay, hi, it's me. What's up? Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that.
It's
not
an
fun.
hour by yourself is hard.
It's really hard. And I think back now, I'm like, how the heck did I do that before you? Like, I don't even, because I don't watch. Well, I mean, you know, I have to watch to the extent if there's any editing that I have to do, of course, you know that. But you know, I try to like separate my mind from my body when I watch it, because otherwise I'll just can the whole thing because I'll be hyper focused. Like, really, you went on air with your hair looking like that? Really? Is that the shirt you chose? Wow, your makeup is whack. You know what I mean? I'll pick apart every single aspect. And so, yeah, it's really difficult. So I don't watch anything. That radio show I told you I did.
Yeah.
I will not. They sent me like the file for that. I won't listen to that. That's none of my business.
I get it. We are our own worst critic. It's
awful.
Yeah, I mean, every week I pop in, you know, either on Facebook or YouTube or both. I've got like the TV on one and the phone on the other and kind of monitoring stuff. But it is not easy to sit and listen to yourself, especially when it's a solo show for an entire hour.
Yeah. Yeah, it is rough. But the gang, thank you. The gang's all here and we are ready to party. And these are all the topics we got for you guys. You ready for them? Here they are.
This week, we're unpacking it all. Trump's new Iran ceasefire framework. Deal or just another timeout? UFC 250 turning the White House lawn into a battlefield. Elon hitting trillionaire status. The heartbreaking B-52 crash. Knicks fans torching NYC after their big win. The heavy fallout from the Carmelo Anthony verdict. And our first World Cup impressions right here on American soil. Stick with us. We're cutting through the noise with straight talk and a little common sense. Let's get into it.
Yeah, straight talk right here. Straight talk, usually a little silliness from me. Yeah. So listen, we got to start right away. Obviously, I feel like this is just the automatic starter for every show, right? The latest going on with Iran, but
hopefully. And I'm not a hopefully kind of guy, but hopefully this is the end of it. So what has been forwarded and relayed to the rest of us through Vice President Vance, mostly, he's been kind of the talking head on this, is there has been an agreement reached that is supposed to be signed on the 19th. So what's today? Today is the 16th, right? So there's 3 more days for Iran to do something dumb. But in principle, they have agreed to this deal. And one of the immediate impacts is the Strait of Hormuz blockade. U.S. blockade was removed and the strait is opened up again. We're already seeing the impacts on oil prices going down significantly in the first 24 to 48 hours, which is great. How much of this do you believe?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part. You know, I like to consider myself a realist with a whole lot of optimism. And I think this is one of those cases where I'm just a realist with a little bit of optimism. You know, because it's Iran, you know, and this is like, I think you just said it, right? How long is it going to be before they Iran this whole thing? You know, so I am hopeful. I'm just not confident.
Yeah, in the broadest terms, without getting too very specific, because the specifics of the deal haven't actually been released. These have been spoken in concept. So one of the things that people are overreacting to, well, we'll go through the whole thing, but there's some things that are being manipulated by the media as usual. But one of the big points is that the nuclear material, the nuclear dust, radioactive dust, is going to be destroyed by the United States in partnership with the Iranians, is the way it's being phrased. Now, I think they stand by while our people come in or our agencies come in and they destroy it. And then they say, that's all we have.
Yeah.
So there's that. There is an expectation of no more state-sponsored terror. There's like no exporting terrorism around the world, no backing Hezbollah or the Houthis or any of the rest of them. There is an expectation that if they abide by that, they also can't interfere with the Strait. They can't interfere. There's no blockade. There's no mining. There's no taxing, none of that stuff. But as a result, they benefit financially. The sanctions are supposed to be lifted. And again, it's all conditional for them abiding by all this. So sanctions are lifted. And then there's this magical, I think is the figure 600, 300 billion.
Not sure.
Right? I think.
Yeah.
I think it's 300 billion that people are freaking out about because it's being spun by the media as taxpayer dollars, but that's not what it is.
Right.
It is, with the lifting of sanctions, it's $300 billion in private investment by international businesses in the nation of Iran. So essentially they're going to get, the idea is to get them westernized with, some modernity, some companies coming in, probably a lot of construction and those things. But it's not $300 billion out of U.S. taxpayer pocket. At least that's the way it's being explained.
Okay.
Over time, we'll see the reality of that. But I just, I have such little faith in them because it is all every time it's gotten to this point.
They do something.
They do something dumb.
Yeah.
It's who they are.
Right. What I don't know, enforcement mechanisms would you need to see in order to feel confident in this?
Well, first is obviously the economic stuff goes right back down, right? That's the first thing that happens. So if let's just take for example, if it's found out that they are sponsoring, funding, moving money towards Hezbollah or a terrorist organization in any way, then immediately the sanctions come back in. That's the first thing that happens. And then, that becomes a little more difficult when you've got Western investment going in there, but that's reality. So there's some risk involved for those folks, but that's step one, but they're going to push the limits. It's part of who they are. So, I'm sure there's an escalation of economic, there's probably a gradated escalation of economic, right? There's probably, hey, the investment dollars stop. There's probably trade stops and then oil, you know what I mean? Like there's probably that. And then we get back into lethal force, which, unfortunately, we keep finding ourselves in with this.
Right. Yeah, I know this is going to be a strongly disliked and maybe even hated thing to say, but I'm thinking about who we're dealing with here. And part of me just says, you know what, you break it. I know this is not going to happen. I know you can't. This is not what we do. But these are the people that only understand, violence. Yeah. So these negotiations and talks. So part of me is like, you break this deal, we're going to obliterate you. You're going to just be wiped off the planet. Yes, I know that is not the way that would go. This could go. We actually operate under rules and, laws and all of the things. But man, oh man, I got to be honest. I would like for that to be the answer because it's the only thing they understand. Everybody's going to come at me in the comments for saying that.
No,
I'm sure, but.
I mean, the reality, though, is that as this progresses, their life is going to return to a normalcy of type.
Right.
The Ayatollah is going to come out of his bunker. He's not going to live there forever.
Right.
Their, semblance of government is going to reestablish itself. It is going to become more visible. It is going to become more public. They're still going to have to deal with the Iranian people. And so, it's kind of one of those things, sit back and wait. And, we did this as a tactic dealing with terrorists for 20 years.
Sure.
You've got a target, you've got a guy that you're tracking, and you back off of him a little bit and you give him a little bit of space and he sticks his head out, and then you smack him. And that's what'll end up happening. So what you said is actually a very valid threat in the progression of things, because as these folks reestablish themselves, if they're the ones that are responsible, and the Ayatollah is top man on the list, like, unless he's planning on living underground in that bunker for the rest of his natural born life, if he's above ground and they violate this stuff and we find out about it, the first person that's going to get smoked is him.
Yeah.
And then, we'll take it from there, because that's what we did last time.
Right.
So I don't think, I think I'm skeptical of them at every turn. I think one of the harder things that's not being talked about is where Israel plays in this, because, Netanyahu, there's been there's been an account of a very forward phone call between him and President Trump.
Yes. What do you think of that? How accurate do you think that is for it to be leaked?
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And I think it's, President Trump, for everything that's happened, has been consistent in both administrations, both of his terms, in that he doesn't want war. He's not a warmonger. He sees it as a leverage for power, but that's last resort for him. He doesn't like this stuff. And so, he's at a point where he's the deal maker, and that's who he is. And that's he gets off like, that's his excitement, is getting the deal done. Right.
Yeah.
He gets the high fives out of that, where other people get the high fives out of, blowing shit apart and doing those things. But that's not him. So when Netanyahu throws a wrench in what he's trying to do, it would be just like if somebody threw a wrench in one of his business deals. He's not going to take that lightly. And I believe that phone call was pretty accurate, in that, there were some F-bombs dropped.
I was going to say that alone gives it actually more credence than anything else, because he is that guy. He is that guy.
Yep.
So when I read it, my first automatic was like, oh, okay, sure. And then I was like, oh, you know what? There is probably a lot of accuracy there in that. And
the other thing too is that, Netanyahu's going to do what he does. And listen, his popularity in Israel is not the best, contrary to a lot of people will believe. But President Trump he's looking 5 months from now to November.
Yeah.
He knows that this can't keep going on. He knows that gas prices can't sit where they are. He knows that is death for the midterm election. So he's trying to get this over with and out of everybody's memory before they go to the polls.
Yeah.
You can't have an outside influence screwing that up. So as many people that want to believe that he is beholden to Netanyahu, or we're beholden to Israel, all those people that believe that, okay, fine, that's your thing. I don't believe that to be true. I think President Trump sees everybody as a business partner, and he's cut away from business partners in the past. And this is one of those times where, he'll put Netanyahu in his place. And I think he did. So we'll see what happens, but they're the wild card in this. As much as Iran is a wild card, I think they're somewhat predictable. I think we know what they're capable of. We know what they're likely to do.
Right.
But, the outside influence of Israel is something that, is a little bit of a wild card, and President Trump's trying to get Netanyahu under control. And I don't know if that's feasible or not. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we sure will. I mean, the consensus, I'm sure, from everyone is basically that we're all so sick and tired of the Middle East and everything that they bring to, right? I can't imagine why you would be, right? I mean, so sick and tired of having to deal. Can we just have nice things? Can we just have nice things without people ruining everything? And I mean, that could be kind of the theme. If I had to give the entire episode a title, that actually should be the theme. I should write it down because I'll forget. But can we just have nice things? Please stop messing everything up with everything that they bring. But so we'll see. Listen, I would love for this to not be a topic next week. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be fantastic.
Again, what I say before, I'm an optimistic realist.
Yep.
So I don't know. Hey, so kind of the same vein. I don't know, some same elements in here. Let's talk about the 250th Trump birthday party / Yay USA brawl on the lawn. Listen, I'm not going to even try and speak for you. I have always really liked UFC. I've always liked mixed martial arts watching. I think to a degree, I find as I get older, I get more squeamish about how exceedingly violent it could be. I was a boxing fan. Yeah. And then when this came up, because I love the art of boxing. I mean, I actually see that as, and so is this. Obviously there are people from both sides that did not love this idea. Obviously way more on the left, surprise, that found this to be an offensive, everything, just a desecration of the White House and the presidency, blah, 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 and all this stuff, which is, obviously for all the obvious reasons, hilarious. Like aren't you the same folks that had topless transgender drag queen people out on your front lawn? And what was that? Wasn't there a sex act scandal that was recorded in like the Senate, on the Senate floor that they recorded? And, also, I don't know, maybe some white substance found in the West Wing, so the moral high ground here, it's not really.
Folks, it just makes me laugh because it's all that, it's Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Take it back to Kennedy sneaking Marilyn Monroe around in the White House. Like,
right.
This is, people are very positional when it comes to stuff like this, and they find reasons to be upset and angry. Mm-hmm. At first it was, well, it's costing the taxpayers all this money. And then, Dana White comes out and he says, I can never do this again because I'm going broke doing this, because they paid for everything.
Yeah.
The UFC paid for all of that stuff. Now, was there an increase in security? Sure. But there's an increase in security for every event that they're ever in the White House. Right.
Any event that they would have there would have an increase.
Mostly irrelevant.
Right.
This is a matter of tastes. This is a matter of, not just do I like the president or not. There's people who don't like UFC. I like UFC, although I did not watch this. I had other things going on. I'm a World Cup guy. We'll talk about that later. But,
yes, we will.
I know folks in that realm. I've met folks like, I've met the Graveseas. I've met Sean Strickland. Like I've met people. There's a lot of overlap between the gun world and the UFC world.
Right.
So I've had touches with those folks, and they're all great people. And I do like watching UFC. And listen, gladiatorial sports are what they are, and they have been around forever, and they always will. The first, running and wrestling was the Olympics.
Yeah.
The days of the Olympics. Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
So, again, people are finding reasons. The absurd one I saw was, they had all of that equipment set up on the lawn, and it's all got corporate sponsorships all over it. So clearly those people are paying, they're buying in, they're bribing the president. This is all money going to the president. So there was that. And then there was the, Eric, I think, Trump. I don't know if you saw it in the hours before.
I didn't.
So there were some text messages that were fabricated, some screenshots about, questions about gambling and some other things going on.
Oh, geez.
And again, it turned out all to be BS. It was all garbage. But I think the kicker out of all, and I thought it was awesome. Listen, you had
love it.
Motorcycles jumping, and you had all those service members out there, and the Marine Corps.
It was so Merca.
It was very America 2026.
Heck
did they expect it to be America 1952? Maybe they did, but we're not. That's not who we are anymore.
No, not at all. And I do have just a small clip of. It's always like one of my favorite things to see. So here, we'll play this.
Who say does that
Yeah.
Love this. I always cry when I hear that one of them.
Yeah. Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds flying.
Look at this. Ready for it? Woo! Oh.
Yep.
Woo. So spectacular. I love Dana's face, like a kid in a candy store.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, that's just beautiful. If you don't love that, I think there's just something wrong with you, honestly. I loved it.
People, we had the whole whichever fighter it was after he won who said, Michelle Obama's a man. Listen, people have a problem. Everybody's up in arms about that. Okay.
Yeah.
He's an athlete who made a political statement.
Yeah.
Truthfully, if you want to go down to the nuts and bolts of it, that is no different than Colin Kaepernick and Megan Rapinoe kneeling for the national anthem.
Exactly.
Truthfully. He made a political statement that he believes in, whether you like it or not, whether you thought it was crass or not. I don't care because it's right of free speech. He can say whatever he wants. He's an athlete. He's not a politician. And even if he's a politician, he wants to say that, that's up to him. But, the other thing that's coming out, and it's been coming out just today, is this report that a terror plot was foiled.
Yes.
And good on the FBI, Kash Patel and that crew for finding this out and dismantling this before it happened. But my understanding is that it was supposed to be
something with drones.
So it was we would call it in terrorism, the war fighting terms is a complex attack. And, back when I was deployed, a complex attack would be something, it would be like, a car bomb followed by a bunch of attackers with, guns and suicide vests. And so you got like multi layers and capabilities. And so this was supposed to be a drone attack that would scatter the crowd and drive them out, and they would run into sniper fire. So it was, again, a very complex plan that the FBI got a hold of. They arrested 5 people associated and dismantled the entire thing.
Yeah.
And good on them. That's what we paid them for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's your job. Do it. Yeah. Make sure you do it. Yeah, actually, so I didn't watch any of it either. Just the clips afterwards. Yeah. And honestly, y'all are gonna think I'm such a wimp, and I am, and I admit it. I'm so traumatized. Like, I think so many people are by the Charlie Kirk incident, and of course before that, Butler, PA. I don't watch any live events when it comes to this stuff because I don't want to see it. If it's going to happen,
sure.
I don't have, what do they call that? FOMO. I don't have fear of missing out. I would rather not. I just really want to protect my brain from seeing potentially something horrific. Listen, I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch violent shows. I don't watch any of that stuff. UFC, I watch that. That's the extent of the violence that I can tolerate. People might be surprised by that, but yeah, no, that's
well, it's 7-second delay. I mean, that's really, kind of the way that you're talking about living your life is on a 7-second delay. And it's really a shame, but you're not the only person. There's a lot of people out there who don't watch live events, and especially events outside with the president now, right? Yeah. Between, like you said, Butler, PA, and all these other Charlie Kirk and all these other things that have been going on. People won't do it. And I can't say that I blame them, because they don't want to see those things. There's horrific things that once you see them, you can't unsee. And if you can avoid seeing them, you should. So, people like you who live your life that way, I don't blame you for that, and then you have some selective, if you remember, because you and I talked about this when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, because nobody was watching that live, except the footage got shot out. Like all the cell phone footage was out, and tens of thousands of people opened it, not knowing what they were watching.
Yeah. And
there were a lot of people who were shocked and traumatized by that because they just, one, they weren't prepared, and two, like, that's not something that they're interested in seeing. And, all of a sudden it was on their phone. And so, Yeah, I'm sure you're not alone. I'm sure there's a lot of people who live like that and didn't watch UFC 250 for that exact reason.
Yeah. It's a thing, it goes for me personally, it's those are the biggest catalysts, but that started kind of long term with my husband being law enforcement. I'm not one of those people with the police scanner that watches police shows and all that stuff. Nope. No, thank you. No, thank you. I like my stress level to be at a manageable place. I don't need things to kind of just incite that fear and that anxiety unnecessarily. So yeah, you gotta, you choose to live your life a certain way, and that for me, that's that. To each their own. All of you love to watch it, and that's fantastic. I think it's great for you.
President Trump was business as usual before and after. So before that, they coordinated a strike that killed a Tren de Agua leader. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
He just rolled with it. And then at 3 a.m. after UFC 250, 3 a.m., he got onto Air Force One and flew to the G7.
He's just amazing.
Yeah.
He's just
so all these people are like, oh, he's falling asleep. And shut up.
Give me a break. That man probably sleeps like 2 hours a night.
He has said it. He is lucky that he lives on less than 4 hours of sleep, and he can do it. And I know people like that. I'm sure you probably know people like that. But it's all those people that are complaining about him, dozing off here and there. Those people could not live his schedule. There's no earthly way.
No.
So
nope, for sure.
Yeah, 3 a.m. after UFC was over with, he walked. They flew him over. He got onto the jet, and he flew over to G7 and rolled right into the summit.
It's just incredible. I don't even know how. I just don't even understand the people around him. I think my guy Marco Rubio talked about he refuted something about that he was falling asleep or something. He's like, that man never sleeps,
even on the jet. Yeah,
what's that?
Rubio said even on the jet, everybody else on the plane's asleep, and the president's up walking around looking for somebody who's awake to talk to. Like he's shaking people awake, going, "Hey,
hey, want to talk about this? Here, listen to this."
The guy's a machine. He is, and he's 80 years old officially. Happy birthday!
Officially, happy birthday, sir.
He's 80, and the guy's got a motor. I mean, he can go. Good for him.
Yeah, you listen, y'all can say whatever you want about him and be right about many things, but slacker is far from one of them, far from it. But so I don't know. What? I thought the whole thing was great. I thought, I mean, here's the thing, guys. I don't want to be that guy, but to the best of my knowledge, and you correct me if I'm wrong, there were no riots breaking out. No brawls in the crowd, no gunshots from people getting mad at each other about something. It was just a massive crowd of people who love America and love Americana so much and just enjoyed the heck out of themselves at this event. So can't say the same for some other events that we will actually get to, but not yet.
Not yet.
I want to talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk just crossed into trillionaire territory after SpaceX's massive IPO. If you love him or question the pace or whatever you think, the guy is reshaping industries faster than most governments move. So the guy's, he's just amazing. His life story is really, really amazing. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was, bullied his whole life, abusive, very, very negligent, abusive father, bullied in school, of course.
Is that the dad that everybody says left him all of this jewel money, blah, 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 blah?
Yeah.
That's all a lie, folks.
It's all a lie.
The guy was a piece of garbage.
Yeah, he was a total piece of garbage. I mean, they had like really awful just living conditions growing up. And I think he came to the U.S. with I think they said something like $2,000 in his suitcase or something. Not a lot of money. And within, I don't know how long it was, within a decade or so, sold his very first company for like 300 and something million dollars. And this is, listen, maybe you don't like that one person has $1 trillion. I personally don't care. It doesn't even mean anything to me. Like once you get past multimillionaire, everything after that is kind of like, I mean, it's just rich. It's just rich. And that's fine because you know what? He did the things. He knew how to do the things to amass the money. Good on you. That's the whole point of living in a country that we live in where anybody, he was a foreigner. He came from another country. He lived the American dream. He came here from another country for a better life. He took advantage of all of the things that you can do to have that. You don't get to be mad. I mean, you can be mad at whatever you want, but you're stupid. Sorry if you're mad about that. I love capitalism. I love this for him. You know what I love even more? I love that I think it was something like 4,000 of his employees.
Yeah, including janitors and cafeteria workers.
Yeah.
Became millionaires because SpaceX went public.
Yes.
Because of their stock options. So yeah, folks, you want trickle down economics. Like he made 4,000 millionaires in a day.
Because
of the value of the SpaceX stock when it went public.
And there's quite a few really nice stories coming out from these employees that are like, one guy is like, I came from Mexico. I was going to take another job. I think it was like GM or something. He was going to take a job with, and because SpaceX wasn't really a big thing, and he was like, well, this is a sure shot. And then I took a chance on this, and I'm a multimillionaire now. Thank you. I mean, what incredible stories! Just all of the garbage that they say about this guy. And listen, obviously, I don't know him personally. I don't know what he's like in his personal life. I don't know if he's a jerk. I don't know if he's a wonderful man. Don't know. None of my business, really. Is he going to end up doing bad things? Very possibly. I mean, being that wealthy is a big responsibility. It's very scary. And people with a lot of money tend to get bored pretty quickly. Geniuses are a little bit scary in their own way. I don't know what he's going to do. All I do is hope that he continues to do a lot of good with what he has, and but it's going to be on him.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't even know if this is true, but it's got to be close. And I thought it was hilarious is that he's actually worth more than Canada.
That's crazy. Yeah,
and it may be true. So you've got that, but there's also this push, and there's been a lot of politicians on the socialist communist side who have said we should take his money away from him, that, the wealth tax, he should pay 80%. Like it's this astronomical, and it's all idiots. It's people like Gavin Newsom who can't, they're still waiting for the first bit of railroad track to be laid on this rail system that he's promised that's wasted $200 million, whatever it's been, Elizabeth Warren and, Bernie Sanders and supposedly someone within the British government said that they would put him in jail and confiscate his money.
Can you imagine?
I'd love to see them try that.
Yeah, go ahead and try.
Yeah. But the reality is he is capitalism. You remember when he bought X and everybody's like, that's it. It's going to ruin him because he paid so much money for it.
Yep.
And his value, his individual value went down, and everybody's like, oh, if he's done for it. He knows what he's doing, right?
He knows what he's doing completely.
So, he is benefiting the world.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Starlink, which is supported by SpaceX. Right?
Yes.
Like that's how all that operates.
Yeah.
The world is connected right now. The worst parts of the world, the most rudimentary, the most underdeveloped parts of the world are connected.
Yeah. Remember that place where they had all of their little blue and yellow flag flying in all of their profile pictures? Oh, Ukraine. Yeah. He gave them Starlink so that they could have access and communicate with the world. But that doesn't seem to matter to you. Like you're for 5-second darling, cause of the moment. He benefited them tremendously.
Yeah. And then people want to pick on him personally, and they say, oh, he's got a bunch of baby mamas and he's got kids all over the place. This is, people coming from Hollywood where like having 7 wives and or 7 husbands, or multiple marriages and kids out of whatever. Like that is par for the course. It's normal for them, and yet they still want to go after him as a person.
Right. The guy who brings his children with him around the country and brings them up on stage and brings them to meet the president. Yeah, he's such a garbage dad, right? Give me a break. Person. Yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah. Listen, you're right though. Like he could be the next supervillain in a comic book with the amount of money and how smart he is, and like he could be that guy. But he's not. I mean,
it could absolutely happen, and I've lived long enough, right? Yeah, I've lived long enough on this earth to not invest my heart and emotions on people, and I certainly have high hopes for the things that he will do. And there's certainly things I don't like about him. I mean, honestly, offhand, I can't think of anything, but I know that there are some things, but who cares? Who actually cares? And if you do care, you gotta go do something fun. Like you're not having enough joy in your life.
He's not affecting your life. Like there's nothing that he's doing that is degrading or taking away from someone else. Like he's giving people jobs, he's developing technology, he's green, like for crying out loud, he's Tesla, he's all of the things that these people want. But the fact is that he's extremely wealthy and he's associated with President Trump, and they immediately have to hate him. And if he was a Democrat, if he was best friends with President Obama, he'd be the best person on the planet, and they'd
be rolling out red carpets for him left and right.
Sure.
And that, I mean, you kind of just summed it up right there, Clay. It's because of who he's friendly with, because these are the Tesla buying, crunchy granola people who love or did love all of the things that he was doing until Trump. I do think about him with that, because there is, for all his brilliance and everything that he does have like this kind of childlike quality to him, and I think that is probably partly to do with the being on the spectrum, of course. Well, not partly, probably entirely to do that. There is a childlike vulnerability to him, or at least that's how he comes across to me. And I have thought about him through that whole process when the whole burn all the Teslas thing was going on. I genuinely felt truly sad for him, because I do believe it was, to at least some degree, like really shocking and really hurtful to him. Like, but why would you do this? Why? I don't understand. Just because I made one affiliation or connection to somebody that you don't like, now I'm, I should burn in hell and die and all of these things. And so, I really did feel for him for all of that. So obviously he's rebounded quite fine from it. Well, I think he's okay.
The reality is it was all performative. It was all theater, because when was the last time somebody burned a Tesla dealership?
Exactly.
Hasn't happened in the last year.
Right. Yeah. No.
So, that was all a joke anyway. So listen, good on him. Good for America. Good for the world that he's doing what he's doing. And listen, it was only a matter of time. Somebody was going to be the first trillionaire. Just happens to be him. And a lot of it's not cash, people. He doesn't have a vault. He doesn't sleep on a bed of $1,000 bills. Like, this is about assets, assets under his control that he owns or has partial ownership of. So, good for him. That's the way things are supposed to work, truthfully.
Absolutely. I think they said, just as a side note, I think I've read this, but that because of the invention of AI, the creation of AI, that AI alone will have probably, within the next 5 years, if not already, created more millionaires than, anything else in our. So the opportunities for people, if this is your goal in life, to, if you aspire to have ungodly amounts of money, the resources are literally a mouse click away on your phone, or a tap on your screen or your phone. I mean, it's everything that he has done, you could do. And this is a guy that came here with $2,000 in his pocket. So no excuses, people. No excuses, no shade. Everybody just toughen up, do your thing. Yep. Oh, what do we got next? Oh, I hate to go to this, but we have to. Let's talk about the heartbreaking news from California. B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff from Edwards AFB with all 8 crew. I have here presumed dead, but I think we know. Yeah. Go ahead, talk about that one, Clay.
Yeah. So, a B-52, for those that don't have a lot of technical on this. So B-52, that designation of 52, like that's the year they first started flying, was 1952. It is one of, if not the oldest aircraft in the Air Force inventory. There has been multiple times where it's like, oh, well, we're going to retire it, but its replacements have come and gone. And it has outlasted them because of its reliability, its reach. They were dropping bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan. B-52s continue to fly for a lot of reasons. But listen, it's a big, heavy aircraft. It has 8 engines to get it off the ground. And that one at Edwards, and we don't know what the cause of the crash is, but it is an airframe. It's not like a fighter plane, folks, where, you just punch out and everybody's got parachutes. There's an 8-person crew on that thing, and they were in takeoff when whatever failed. And they weren't getting out. They weren't getting out quick enough. So unfortunately, the loss of not only that B-52, it's not like we have thousands of them. We have hundreds at most. And the air crews, same. So it's a loss strategically. It's a loss individually. We pray for everybody in the Air Force who, was a part of that, supported that unit, supported that organization, those pilots, et cetera. It's a tragic loss. I think the last B-52 crash was in 1994 in what used to be McChord Air Force Base. Now it's Joint Base Lewis-McChord outside of Seattle. And it just so happened I was at the Army side of that at Fort Lewis when that happened. We heard it. We heard it. Didn't know what it was, but we heard it. If I remember correctly, I think it was 94. Anyway, so they're a big, reliable aircraft. I've known some folks who've flown them, and it's a very small community, but it's got a long history. So, this colonel that I knew who commanded a B-52 squadron or a wing, right? He was talking as a colonel. He had been in the Air Force for, 30 years, and he was talking to colonels who had retired 20 years before him who, had flown these things. And it's got this super long lifespan. So tragedy. We won't know for a while what happened. But a loss of that aircraft and air crew. There was also, not reported widely, there was a Navy F-18 fighter plane. Pilot punched out and was recovered. But one of those crashed out west just days before that B-52.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's and listen, folks will jump to conclusions. They'll be like, oh, that's 2 airplanes in a week. We clearly have, DOD is a mess and nobody's pulling maintenance and blah, 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 blah.
No, that's just the reality, things that happen.
And the reality is we're training more than we have been.
Right.
And when you train more, you have more accidents and you have more incidents and things like this. And unfortunately, you have more non-combat fatalities. It's part of the job. So, and I'm not dismissing it. I'm not downplaying it, but that's the reality of what's going on. The more you fly, the more things happen. So tragedy for the Air Force, and, prayers to everybody who was involved or is touched by that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was it was a test mission. It wasn't, it was a
training mission. Yeah. I don't think they had any kind of payload on the aircraft. There was no weapons on board, no bombs, no nothing. I think it was just a flight that, truthfully, thankfully, because that could have been a totally different outcome had they been loaded. But I think it was a training flight.
Okay. Wow. Very sad. God bless the family and all of the loved ones for that crew and their families. That's just awful. Awful. Awful in a different way, the aftermath of something wonderful, right? How quickly joy turns to something ugly. And, my goodness, did I mention earlier on something else? We are so sick and tired. We are
You
so.
said it. We can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things. This is the perfect example. So the Knicks end a 53-year drought. They win the title. And what happens? Well, parts of New York City, their celebrations turned into chaos with arrests, teen shot, and torched buses. I mean, this is not the first time that this happens. Every time, right? That there's a big.
And it wasn't even the first time in this series. Like they beat the Spurs, and there was like every time the Knicks won, people were out tearing stuff apart. They were breaking stuff, dancing on cars, lighting stuff on fire, fights, people being arrested. Like, the night that they won, amazing, because the mayor knew, as much of a slough as that guy is, but they all knew this was coming, which is really sad that it's become so predictable that you're going to have riots and, all the violence and all that stuff.
Board up your businesses, right? You got to board everything up to protect it.
So the police were on the street. Like every cop in NYPD was at work that night. They alerted everybody. And, there were people complaining like, oh, the police are a police state. Oh, it's just people having a good time. No, it's not people having a good time.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Right. It's but you're right. It's become super predictable. Every Super Bowl, every NBA championship, right? And the Knicks are going to have a parade. Can you imagine a victory parade? Can you imagine what that's going to look like?
Oh, it's going to be insane. Yeah, it's going to be just mayhem and madness and more arrests and more violence and more vandalism and destruction of property. And it's, again, why can't we just have nice freaking things for no reason? This is a societal thing. Yeah, it's an excuse. Well, that's exactly what it is. This is a societal breakdown to the nth degree of, people using a certain category of people using, every opportunity to incite violence, to riot, to wreak havoc on people just trying to live their lives, just trying to exist. And this is an inner city problem. You're not seeing this in suburbia. You're not seeing this in small towns and all of it. This is an inner city issue over and over and over again. Why? Because we have these democratic leaders in there that do absolutely nothing but coddle criminal behavior and punish victims, basically. And this is a case of that. These are people spend a lot of money. I'm sure. I don't know. I don't go to basketball games, but I'm sure, especially for something like that, you're spending a good amount of money, right?
Thousands of dollars per ticket. Floor seats at Madison Square Garden, I think I saw, were in the $19,000 range for one ticket.
Insane. But listen, if you got it and you want it, go ahead and spend it, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, you wouldn't, again, this goes back to kind of the other conversation about crowds and all of those things. And, there's just certain situations that you couldn't catch me in. And that would be one of them. Any event like this with a, massive crowd, and particularly obviously if it's in any of the cities anywhere, it's a hard pass for me. I'll watch it on TV or I'll watch the highlights or something. And that's the extent of it, because people ruin everything and they're not held accountable,
That's exactly right. And unfortunately, we are getting to the point where the only thing people understand is violence. We are getting to one of those places. You and I were talking about this before the show. There's a lot of response on the streets of places like Belfast and Glasgow and Dublin. And like, there's a lashing out against migrant violence in those countries. Yeah. And then we were talking about Iran, they only understand violence. And unfortunately, these people who are, burning cars and they're rioting and they're fighting and shooting people and all of these, setting stuff on fire, they are to the point where they only understand violence. And but when you bring violence against them, then they turn victim right away.
Right.
I truthfully would love for the NYPD to be walking through and just randomly shooting people with rubber bullets. You jump up on a car, whack. You know, you climb up on a signpost, whack, and just keep doing it. Truthfully.
And 100%.
Pay with pain. You want to act like an idiot, pay with pain. And and that's the only way that it's going to work.
I want the water cannons with the dye.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. Like
I love
act like a fool, you know, FAFO.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That's right. And you know, it doesn't even matter. Like the NFL plays at neutral site. The Super Bowl's at a neutral site. So it's not even at home stadiums, right? And it doesn't matter. Like, you know, pick your team. The Eagles win and Philly burns. The game could be in friggin' California. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The next day, people are tearing the place apart. So it's not even a move it out of the city kind of answer because that's irrelevant. So yeah, I think unfortunately it is a pay with jail or pay with pain, one or the other.
I say pain. I say pain because I'm cool with it. I am all about that.
I'm cool with it because I'm not there.
That's right. That's right. Listen, I am a fan of peace through strength. I am totally good with that. Now, obviously, I'm not good with an abuse of strength, authority or anything. I mean, it should go without saying, but you're going to get one toolbox in the comments section. Be like, oh, so you're advocating for police, brutality. Shut up. Shut up. You know what that's going to earn you? That's going to earn you a block and ban because you're too stupid to even get a response. So if you're going to comment it, you're going to have to go find somewhere else to, some other sandbox to pee in because this isn't the one for you, my friend. Not the place. But so all of that stuff is just so frustrating. And to your point about Belfast and everything and that region, I mean, they're done. They're done taking it. Like they're like, are we asked you to do something? Like you're not doing your job. All right, we're gonna do it our way, and they're doing it their way, and then some, right?
Yeah, and Belfast is one of those places, folks. If you know anything about even modern history, that is the centerpiece for everything that was happening between Northern Ireland and Ireland with the IRA and Sinn Féin and blah, 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 blah. But that city was the epicenter of all of it. Yeah. And they will handle things there. Like that city has been under the thumb of violence for 100 years. And, when you've got a migrant trying to chop the head off of an Irishman, the next night the folks, the guys from that city were in the street and they were burning cars and they were, in the migrant neighborhoods sending a message like, we're not taking this crap from you.
Right.
And so, it should never have to get to the point where the people have to take it into their own hands because the police aren't doing their job. We should never get there in this country. But the day is coming. And it's because when violence happens, when bad things happen, when people commit crimes, we make them the victim. We blame it on things other than personal responsibility. And, this flows right into our next topic, which is Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
The amount of crap that is coming out of this, blaming this on racism, people who don't know the facts of the case, making things up, the people who are in the courtroom, which there were no cameras in there, and I'm cool with that. Good call by the judge. But, people who have made the accounts from the courtroom, the people who were on the jury, they know what happened inside that tent.
Right.
And inside that tent, Carmelo Anthony threatened people. He refused to leave. He said, touch me and you'll see what happens. He made all of the threats.
Right.
And then
he was asked countless times to
15
leave.
times. And then he went and got a knife and he stabbed that young man to death. And now the blame is being put on the dead kid. Right.
So obscene.
It's not Carmelo Anthony. It's not his crappy upbringing by his parents. It's not, glorifying violence in that community, truthfully.
Right. It is
not any of those things. It's nothing. It's racism. Right.
Right.
And that's the card for this particular case. There's a lot of cards out there, but for this one, it's the racism card. And it's because we're, when we don't hold people accountable, and it translates to New York and all of these other cities where people are acting like idiots, when people aren't held individually, personally accountable for their actions, then it escalates. And now you've gotten to the point where, the Black Panthers are calling for a race war based on nothing other than misinformation.
Nothing. Right.
Right.
And they don't care. And they actually, the people who lead these organizations, BLM, these new Black Panthers, all of these groups, your race baiters, they all actually do. Here's the irony. They actually do know the facts because they're not dumb.
No.
They're very smart people. This is how they make their living. Correct. By stirring, the divide and hate and discontent and all of those things. That's how they keep their job, by keeping the people riled up and violent and not talking to each other and not hearing or listening to each other. So that's the irony that a lot of these people have no clue about. They are making money off of your rage, off of your personal injury, because obviously people are getting hurt constantly. Your prison time, they're not coming to bail you out. None of them are getting bailed out by these dirtbags. And they're preying on their ignorance and their willingness to follow blindly. And it's, and this is where we're at. And it's, and also obviously where we're at, part of the conversation we've been having is that people are done. Yep. People are not taking it anymore. And, here's a prime example of kind of like everything that we're talking about. I think, when like we said, we look at where all these incidents are happening. It's primarily probably like 98% of this is happening in cities, in these big inner cities. It's not happening in rural Georgia. It's not happening in rural Florida. It's not happening in your farm countries and your, suburbia, because guess what? They're going to fight back. They're going to fight back because these people have their own guns, and you come and you try that over here. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Everybody's getting sick of it. You're on social media a lot. I'm on social media a lot, but my algorithm now, and it's because I started following some of them. The Black conservative movement is my favorite thing in the world right now.
Oh, they're amazing. They're so good.
Wes Scott and
love him.
There's a handful. And it's growing. The numbers are growing, right? And they're sick of it too. Truthfully, they're sick of how they're being represented. They're sick of being lumped in. They're sick of, because them being conservative, they're getting turned on as well. And so that's getting old. So everybody is getting tired of the garbage. And hopefully it's turning in enough time that this doesn't become widespread violent.
Right.
I would hope that that's it. I think now it's going to continue to be, secluded acts within the major metro areas, stuff like the Knicks game or whatever. Right. I know there was a call for violence in the wake of the Carmelo Anthony thing, including the Black Panthers and others, but there hasn't been a response.
No, there hasn't been. They have not had a lot of traction in that. And I actually think a lot of that is their own fault. I'm sure a lot of the Black community and white guilt, liberal, suburban women,
wives,
right, those are all the ones that donated money to the Carmelo Anthony fund. They're the ones that funded their $500,000 home and their fancy cars. And I think I read somewhere that somebody got a nose job on this, and all of those things. And now Carmelo Anthony is basically crying that he has no money for counsel for his appeal. Yeah. So, and they're looking at this like, hang on a second. We just donate. I don't remember what the numbers were.
$25,000.
Thank you. So we donated all that money for your defense fund.
It's gone.
It's gone. And none of it was spent on your attorneys, which he didn't. Like, there's a lot of false statements out there too. I think I read that, everybody was saying that he had a public defender. He didn't. He had a hired lawyer.
He did in his defense team. I think the guy that everybody is associating with the trial, the white guy with the beard, I think that guy was pro bono. I think he was doing it for free.
Oh, okay.
But there were costs associated, and they did spend some money on it, but not $625,000.
Right. No.
They bought a new house because, in a gated community, which is hilarious. The irony of that, and a Range Rover and all this stuff. And now you're right. He has no money for a quote unquote proper defense attorney.
Yeah. And I think enough people know the actual facts of the case that are pretty
investigated for fraud.
Yeah.
And that's happening right now, is the family's being investigated for fraud. So, but again, we can't have nice things,
Can't have nice things.
But I will
have nice things. Go ahead.
As we move on to the last topic.
Go ahead. In your glory.
I am. So, everybody knows I'm a soccer guy. And yes, I say soccer because I'm an American, right? Yes. And if you look up the genesis of that word, it's a British word, and all the English people who make fun of us, it's your fault. Anyway,
there you go.
I'm actually doing on my social medias, on Instagram and on Facebook, I'm doing something called Soccer All Summer. So I'm doing like 3-4 posts a day, talking about matches that are going on and some of the things that are going on within the tournament. But one of the World Cup is here, folks. It's being hosted by us, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. We are 6 days in. It has been very exciting. There hasn't been any upsets in the terms of a lower ranking team beating a better team, but there's been some ties that were unexpected. Cape Verde, right? Who is a nation of 560,000 people, tied Spain, who was the co-favorite to win the tournament, right?
Okay.
So this tiny nation plays Spain and they tie them 0-0, right? That's massive. Curacao, an island nation of 155,000 people. Now they got beat up by Germany 7-1, but they scored a goal against Germany, right? That's a huge thing. But I'll tell you, the best thing that's coming out of this entire tournament is get on social media and watch the foreign visitors that are coming here to the United States and experiencing America.
Oh, I've seen a couple of those. It's wonderful.
They're going to Waffle House. They're finding puppies. They're amazed at as many refills as you want on soda. They're trying all the foods like Texas barbecue. Japan is in Texas, and they're great. You've got the Tartan Army. The Scots are all in Boston. They're like a couple of thousand of them went to the Boston Red Sox game the other night.
Oh, together. Wow.
And like singing, and the city of Boston is embracing them. But what I keep hearing over and over and over again is that they have come here and realized that they've been lied to by the international media, that the United States is not what they expected it to be. People are extremely nice. They are very accommodating. People are polite. Yes, everything is bigger. It's massive, but to them, it's amazing. And they're loving it. They're absolutely loving their experience here. And so a lot of them are just blown away by America. And it's a great look for us, but we can also take some examples from them. So in Japan, at major sporting events, people from the West don't know this, right? The Japanese fans clean up the stadium before they leave.
Yeah.
Like they walk around with trash bags and they clean up all the trash. They did that at the World Cup stadium after Japan got done playing the other day. Literally walked in 2 bags. Everybody had a clear bag and a blue bag, recyclable and trash. And they walked around and they cleaned everything up. By the way, the Japanese national team, if you saw their locker room when they left, was immaculate. The players, the professional players, cleaned the entire locker. Everything was folded. Everything was cleaned up. There wasn't a stitch of trash anywhere. There wasn't athletic tape and all this other stuff. Immaculate when they left. That is their culture. Those are the things that we can take away from everybody else.
Absolutely. So you mean to tell me that they don't go to their Walmart, their version of the Walmart in their pajamas, or the airport in their pajamas?
No, they actually, another great Japanese culture thing they're experiencing in Texas. So I've heard this, and in fact, somebody wrote an article about it, but they went to a Mexican restaurant. I don't know if it was a chain, if it was a Chili's or something like that, but they sat down at the table And as is the case in all Mexican restaurants, they walked over, they put down the chips and salsa, and the Japanese people said, we didn't order this. And they said, no, that's just part of it. And their phrase that they used was, we haven't done anything to earn this.
Oh,
free, right? Talk about perspective.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So no, they don't go to Walmart in their pajamas, right? They are here. They are loving America. And we, truthfully, America, are putting on we're being very good hosts right now.
Oh.
And I know there's some isolated incidences against the Iranian team in LA and the Iranian fans in LA. That's LA, folks. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Los Angeles is going to Los Angeles, and that's what they've been doing. But overall, it's been a massive success. We still have 5 more weeks of it, folks. It's not done until the middle of July. But I'm enjoying it. And again, you can follow me on social media, Instagram and Facebook. And I'm doing a couple of things. I call it Soccer All Summer because that's what this is.
Soccer all summer. Yeah. I love it. Tell them what's your handle.
So on Instagram, I'm C Novak author. And then on Facebook, you can find me under Clay Novak. I've got an author page and it's all getting posted on there. So find me on those 2 places. Give me a click, a like, and a follow, and comment if you so choose. And listen, even if you don't know anything about soccer, I've been talking about all kinds of stuff: the format of the tournament, the new rule changes, and some of the other things that are going on. It's not just about scores and players and those kinds of things. So tune in, and maybe you'll learn something. You never know.
How about that? I'm actually intrigued, Clay, because, my husband and I have had this conversation multiple times. We used to be big football family until, the NFL blew up that stuff. It was a big thing for many years. We watched every Sunday and Monday too, of course. But since they became such a disappointment in their politics or bringing politics into everything, we flat out stopped watching, and I haven't watched anything in years. And I just said to him recently that, I miss having a sport. Like I miss having a sport to love. And, I've always liked hockey. We used to go to hockey games when I was a kid quite a bit. My family are tennis players. So it's like, all right, so here are our choices. Not that we just have to pick one, but I'm like hockey, tennis, soccer. All 3 have an appeal here. So I may do some educating on your pages.
I can tell you for the next 2 weeks, solid. Actually, probably the next 2.5 weeks, solid. There are going to be 4 games every day for the next 2.5 weeks. So
this is the time, right?
If you have a heritage, I know you're German and I know that you're Cuban, right? Cuba didn't qualify, but Germany did, right? You want to jump in and watch the Germans, right? You can watch them. Obviously, Team USA opened up with a 4-1 victory over Paraguay. It was probably the best 90 minutes of U.S. soccer I've watched in my entire life.
Wow.
Things are launching well, and it's a great tournament so far. So I encourage people, listen, even if you like soccer, support America. Support the U.S. national team. It's a great story. There are a bunch of great guys. There's not a in the crowd, truthfully. And just support America. That's what we do.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, I think I'm so grateful for my heritage, but I got to go Team USA. Gotta do it. My grandfather would only have it that way. My German grandfather, he would only have it that way. He would be USA all the way. So I'm going to do what he would do. So, all right. All right, guys.
Next US game is Friday. Friday evening.
Okay.
Yep, Friday evening. There's the next US game playing. Oh, off the top of my head, who are we playing? New Zealand. Okay. Or no, Australia. We're playing Australia on Friday night. It'll be a good match. Yeah.
All right. I will report back next week on my enjoyment level. Right? I love it. All right, my friends. I especially enjoyed this show. I think it's like one of those things where you don't know what you have until it's gone. So I think because I didn't have you around last week, I'm that much more grateful. So I especially enjoyed today. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Clay, you know the drill. You take them out.
Hey, soccer all summer. And as always for me, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. Bye.
The headlines will change by tomorrow, but the patterns won't. Thanks for spending this time with us. We'll be back to keep asking the harder questions and telling the quieter truths. Until then, stay grounded, be discerning, and we'll see you next time.